13% of aviation water tanks contain traces of fecal matter. Stop. Put down that coffee immediately. They are counting on your ignorance to swipe $6.5 billion in baggage fees this year alone. One extra half-inch on your suitcase? That is a $100 fine at the gate. A dead cell phone? To security, that is a potential explosive. The entire system is rigged to squeeze every cent out of your pocket and every bit of comfort out of your journey. You are walking through a financial minefield, but today you have a map. You have 12 rules to navigate the terminal, protect your rights, and beat the airlines at their own game. Here is Rule 1 of 12. Over 3,000 power banks are confiscated every single day across global hubs because of strict FAA lithium-ion regulations. Layla, a 34-year-old nurse from Boston, found this out the hard way while rushing through security at Paris Charles de Gaulle. Her expensive $150 charger sat on the gray plastic tray as the agent simply shook his head. Layla panicked. Her phone was at 4%, and she had a 7-hour flight across the Atlantic ahead of her. The airline won't tell you this because they profit when you lose. They see your portable charger as a potential fire hazard in the cargo hold. Stop. Before you pack, look at the fine print on your device. Most airlines allow batteries under 100 watt-hours, but if that label is worn off or unreadable, they will take it. To calculate watt-hours, multiply the milliamp hours by the voltage and divide by 1,000. For example, a 20,000 milliamp hour battery at 3.7 volts is 74 watt-hours. You are safe. Check the label right now. Keep chargers in carry-on bags only. Checking them is a one-way ticket to the trash bin because halon fire suppression systems in the cargo hold cannot put out a lithium fire. Reality check. Security agents have the final say, and if they feel a device is damaged or bulging, your protest will not matter. Layla lost her charger, but you can save yours. Saving your electronics is easy, but keeping your seat is a different story. You just saved your tech, but that is nothing compared to the risk of Rule 2. Rule 2 of 12. Charge your electronics before hitting the security line, or risk losing your flight entirely. Luke, a 29-year-old web developer, learned this lesson at Philadelphia International. He had been working in the terminal until the very last second, draining his MacBook to 0%. As he reached the TSA checkpoint, the officer gave him a direct command: "Power it on." Luke fumbled. He pressed the power button, but the screen stayed black. The officer's face went cold. Silence is never good in a security line. Most people do not realize that a device that will not turn on is a major red flag, because it could be a disguised explosive device. The airline won't tell you this, but they are banking on your ignorance to keep the line moving. Luke was pulled aside for a secondary screening that lasted 40 minutes. He watched through a glass partition as his flight to London Heathrow departed without him. You get left behind for a dead battery. Stop. Here is the fix. Always keep at least 10% battery life for the checkpoint. If you are at 0, use a portable power bank or look for the USB port on the back of an airport TV monitor. Luke eventually cleared security, but his seat was gone. This is where they screw you. Luke paid $500 for a last-minute ticket. Dead battery, dead trip. But a dead laptop is a minor hurdle compared to the absolute nightmare of Rule 3. Rule 3 of 12. Michael, a 38-year-old mechanical engineer, stood at the gate in Phoenix ready to board with a sleek $500 smart suitcase. He had spent a small fortune on this gear, thinking he was finally ahead of the game. But the gate agent did not care about the glowing charging ports or the fancy GPS tracking. She pointed at the built-in power bank and shook her head with total indifference. Michael could not believe it. He was told his expensive luggage was a safety risk and could not go in the cargo hold unless he ripped out the battery right there on the floor. The airline won't tell you this until you are standing in line with 3 minutes to board. Lithium-ion batteries are strictly regulated by the FAA. If that battery is non-removable, you are stuck. You either leave the bag at the terminal or you stay on the ground. Michael watched in pure disbelief as the rest of the passengers moved past him. He felt like a victim of a system that loves your money but hates your convenience. They are banking on your ignorance of the 2018 lithium ban. Before you buy that high-tech bag, check the specs. The battery must be removable. If it is built in, it is just a $500 paperweight. When you reach the gate, remove the battery and carry it with you in the cabin. If the agent asks, tell them clearly that the battery is in your pocket. Michael found a way to remove his with a screwdriver from a shop nearby, but the stress was a high price to pay. Cheap seat, expensive mistake. But even a safe bag won't save you if it's an inch too wide. You just saved your luggage from being abandoned, but that is nothing compared to Rule 4. Rule 4 of 12. Have you ever wondered why that carry-on that fit perfectly last year suddenly feels like a tight squeeze? Joseph, a 45-year-old architect from Seattle, stood at the boarding gate in Istanbul with a sinking feeling. He was exhausted. The agent pointed at his bag and asked him to place it in the metal sizer. Joseph complied. The suitcase hit the rim and stopped. It was off by a fraction of an inch. A tiny, insignificant half-inch. They are banking on your ignorance of shifting industry standards. The agent shook her head and demanded $100. Joseph felt helpless. He had used this bag for years, but airlines are now counting on your bag being 22.5 inches instead of 22. That extra half inch is worth billions in fees. Stop guessing. Buy a digital luggage scale and a simple tape measure. Measure from the floor to the top of the handle, not just the suitcase body. If you are slightly over, check it at the counter early where fees are lower, or pack less. While some agents are lenient, most are trained to be strict revenue collectors. Joseph paid the money because he had no choice. But you can avoid this trap. Knowing the size is one thing, but what happens when they try to weigh your bag at the gate? You just saved $100 on bags, but that is nothing compared to tip 5. Tip 5 of 12. 92% of airlines track every ounce of your luggage, but they have zero authority to track the weight of your body. Sophia, a 22-year-old student, was standing at a kiosk in Frankfurt. Her carry-on was exactly 24 pounds. The limit was a measly 18 pounds. The agent pointed at the scale with a cold stare and demanded $85. Sophia felt that sharp spike of frustration. The airline won't tell you this, but they are banking on your ignorance of the rules. Items worn on your body almost never count toward your carry-on allowance. Sophia stepped out of line, put on her heavy winter parka, and stuffed 2 thick sweaters and her heavy power banks into the oversized pockets. She even draped a pro-level camera around her neck. When she returned, the bag weighed 16 pounds. Perfect. You can wear 3 layers or carry a laptop in a specialized vest if you have to. This is where they screw you by making you think the bag is the only way to carry your gear. Just do not overdo it. If you look like a giant inflatable mascot, the crew might flag you for a safety check. Sophia made her flight, saved the money, and sat comfortably after she took the extra layers off in the cabin. You just beat the scale. But that is nothing compared to the money you lose when a battery ends up in the wrong place. Rule 6 of 12. Check your checked luggage for lithium batteries right now. Avery, a 31-year-old graphic designer, was flying out of Cleveland. She was moving back home, feeling a heavy sense of sadness after a tough year. In her haste to pack her entire life into 3 suitcases, she tossed a high-capacity power bank into a large, checked bag. At 10:45 a.m., while she sat at the gate, her name echoed through the terminal speakers. Security had flagged her bag. The confusion turned into a nightmare. They treated the suitcase as a potential fire hazard. Avery stood there, watched by a crowd, as her belongings were spread across the floor. The airline won't tell you this, but they hope you do not know this rule because fines are easy revenue. They issued a fine reaching nearly $1,000 for a hazardous materials violation. Stop. Avery missed her flight. Her move was ruined. Always carry lithium batteries in your carry-on. The FAA requires this because a cargo hold fire is unreachable once the doors are sealed. If you have smart luggage, remove the battery before checking the bag. Avery eventually made it home, but with a massive hole in her savings. Missing a flight due to a battery is one thing, but being bumped against your will is where the real money is made. That is nothing compared to Secret 7. Secret 7 of 12. James, a 56-year-old history professor, stood at the gate in Pittsburgh, clutching his boarding pass for a long-awaited flight to Denver. Suddenly, the announcement cut through the terminal noise like a knife. The flight was oversold. The agent approached James with a sympathetic smile, offering a $200 travel voucher if he would just take a later flight. James felt a surge of indignation. He had a wedding to catch, and a small credit for a future trip felt like a slap in the face. This is where they hope you stay quiet. They want you to take the bait and walk away. They are banking on your ignorance of federal protections. Here is the fix. If you were bumped involuntarily, you are not stuck with a measly voucher. Airlines rarely volunteer the truth about denied boarding compensation. If they cannot get you to your destination within 1 to 2 hours of your original arrival time, you can ask for 400% of your one-way fare, up to $1,500 in cash. Don't just accept the first coupon. Politely ask the agent for a check instead. James did exactly that. Suddenly, that tiny credit turned into a massive payout. Reality check. This only applies if you have a confirmed reservation and checked in on time. If you volunteer to give up your seat, you are negotiating on your own. James made it to the wedding late, but with $1,500 extra in his pocket. But even a fat check won't help if you're stuck in a terminal for 8 hours with no food. Rule 8 of 12. Have you ever spent 4 hours staring at a flickering departure board, while your battery and your patience both hit zero? Aria, a 40-year-old accountant, was living that nightmare at Salt Lake City. Her connection to Denver was stuck on the tarmac for mechanical reasons. She was exhausted. The gate agent just shrugged and told everyone to stay tuned. Aria looked around at the tired faces. People were frustrated and hungry. The airline won't tell you this, but you do not have to wait for a physical voucher line that stretches halfway to the next terminal. Instead of joining the crowd, Aria opened her airline app. Most major carriers now use hidden digital portals for customer service recovery. Check your flight status page or the link in your delay notification text. Within the Manage Trips section, there is often a button for View Amenities or Meal Credit. Aria found a $15 credit linked directly to her digital boarding pass in seconds. No paper, no waiting. She grabbed a sandwich and a water while others were still arguing with the gate agent. Hunger is the enemy of a calm traveler. Reality check. These credits usually expire once your flight finally takes off, and they won't cover a steak dinner, but they keep you fueled. Aria made it to her seat feeling human again. It was a small victory, but a sandwich won't save you from a cramped seat. That is where Rule 9 becomes your shield. Tip 9 of 12. Did you know that nearly 15% of first-class seats on domestic flights depart completely empty? Gianna, a 27-year-old marketing specialist, stood at the gate in Tampa, feeling exhausted. She tried the polite demand approach at first, but the agent didn't even look up. The airline is banking on your ignorance. To them, a demand is just noise. Stop. Here is the fix. Start collaborating. Gianna tried a different tactic. She waited for a quiet moment when the line died down. She leaned in and asked the agent if they were looking to move people for weight and balance reasons, and noted she would be happy to help by moving to a different cabin. This is the magic phrase. It shows you understand the operational side of the airline industry. Often, if they need to move someone due to an overbooked economy section, they will pick the person who made their life easier. This is not a magic spell for a free ride every time, but it is a strategy. Most agents have limited power, but they do have discretion. Gianna did not get the upgrade that day, but she got a quiet exit row seat for free. You just mastered the art of the upgrade, but even a wide seat won't save your health on a long-haul flight. Rule 10 of 12. Move your feet right now. Deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, is a silent threat that does not care about your age or fitness level. If you sit still for over 4 hours in a pressurized cabin, your blood starts to behave differently. Wyatt, a 52-year-old financial analyst from Raleigh, learned this the hard way on a trip to Europe. He stayed glued to his seat, finishing a report while cruising at 35,000 feet. He did not feel the clot forming in his leg. The airline won't tell you this, but cramped cabins are a breeding ground for circulation issues. Wyatt noticed a dull ache in his calf once he landed. He ignored it, which was a big mistake. Stop. Here is the fix. Every hour, perform seated calf raises. Flex your toes toward your shins and then point them away. This simple pump action moves blood back to your heart. Stay hydrated by drinking at least 8 ounces of water for every hour in the air. Consider compression socks that provide 15 to 20 millimeters of mercury pressure to keep things moving. Wyatt's leg swelling eventually subsided after a doctor's visit, but he never flies without moving now. travel is a test of endurance. You just saved your health, but you are still missing the final piece of the travel puzzle. Secret 11 of 12. Owen sat in seat 24B on his flight out of Atlanta, staring at the empty plastic wrapper of a single pretzel. He was starving. His stomach let out a faint growl that felt like a roar in the quiet cabin. Owen looked at the galley and hesitated. Most passengers think the one-snack rule is set in stone. It is not. The airline is banking on your ignorance. Owen, a 41-year-old librarian, had endured a 3-hour delay before finally boarding. By the time the plane hit 30,000 feet, that tiny bag of crackers felt like a cruel joke. He did not want to be the person who bothers the busy crew, but hunger wins. In 2026, flight attendants are often authorized to hand out extra snacks to avoid waste at the end of the day. The secret is timing. Wait until the main cabin service ends. Walk to the back galley and be polite. Owen asked if extras were available because he missed lunch during the delay. They didn't just give him one bag, they gave him 3 and a full 12-ounce soda can. It is not a total guarantee, but it usually works because a happy passenger is a quiet passenger. Owen left satisfied. But even a full stomach won't help when the hygiene on board is rigged against you. Rule 12 of 12. Have you ever wondered why seasoned flight attendants never drink the coffee or tea on board? Mateo, a 33-year-old photographer from Chicago, certainly didn't. While waiting for his flight at O'Hare, he skipped the terminal cafe, thinking he would just grab a hot drink once they hit cruising altitude. He ordered a black coffee. Big mistake. A study of airplane water tanks discovered that nearly 13% of planes tested positive for coliform bacteria. Yes, that is the technical way of saying fecal matter. The filtration tech on most of these aging aircraft remains shockingly outdated. They are banking on your ignorance while you sip on that freshly brewed beverage. The airline won't tell you this, but those tanks are difficult to clean and rarely fully drained. Mateo spent the final 3 hours of his trip in the tiny lavatory, regretting every sip. Stop. The solution is simpler than you think. Stick to anything that comes in a sealed can or bottle. Even the ice cubes are often made from that same questionable tap water. So ask for your beverage without them. If you really need that caffeine fix, buy it at the gate before you board. The sky is high, but the hygiene is often low. If you don't know these rules, the airport will take your money and your health every time. Don't be the passenger they take advantage of. Hit subscribe to keep winning against the airlines.